Some of the most famous moments in the history of the World Cup genuinely should not be possible. A dog solving a robbery that an entire police force couldn't. Two countries cheating in plain sight in front of the whole planet and getting away with it. And a goal scored with a hand that to this day still counts. The World Cup doesn't just give us football. Every few years it produces something so strange, so brazen, so completely unbelievable that if you wrote it into a movie, people would say it was too far-fetched. These are three of the most bizarre things that have ever happened at a World Cup, and every single one of them is true. Let's start with the dog. It's 1966. England is about to host the World Cup for the first time, and the most precious object in the sport, the solid gold Jules Rimet trophy, is in the country, ready to be handed to the winners. So naturally, they put it on public display at a stamp collecting exhibition. Yes, the most wanted football trophy on earth, guarded at a rare stamp show in central London. And on the 20th of March, while the stamps sat there perfectly safe, somebody walked off with the World Cup. Stolen, straight out of its glass cabinet, England, the host nation, months before the tournament, had lost the actual trophy. It was a national embarrassment. Then a ransom demand came in over the phone, and the police set a trap and arrested a man as the money changed hands. But he swore blind. He was just a middleman for the real thief, who was never identified. And the cup was still gone. Scotland Yard, the famous English police, had absolutely nothing. And then, a week later, a man named David Corbett took his dog out for an evening walk in South London. The dog, a little black and white mongrel named Pickles, started sniffing at a package shoved under a hedge, wrapped in old newspaper and tied with string. Corbett tore it open and found himself holding the stolen World Cup. A dog. A dog found the trophy that the entire English police force could not. And Pickles became a national hero overnight. He got a medal. He was given a year's worth of free dog food. He even landed a role in a movie. His owner collected a reward of £6,000, enough back then to buy a house. And a few months later, England won the World Cup on home soil and lifted the very trophy the dog had rescued. And here's a detail that tells you exactly how badly the whole thing had spooked them. England were so terrified of losing that trophy a second time that, quietly, behind the scenes, they had a fake one made, a secret replica of the World Cup. For years afterward, the trophy they paraded around in public wasn't even the real one. The genuine cup was locked away in secret. They had been humiliated by a robbery that a dog had to solve, and they were taking absolutely no more chances. Now, two more details that make this even stranger. First, poor Pickles. Barely a year after becoming the most famous dog in the country, he died. He was chasing a cat and choked on his own lead. And second, the trophy he saved? It was stolen again, years later, in Brazil in 1983. And that time, there was no Pickles. It was never found. Most people believe it was melted down. The cup a dog once dug out of a hedge is, to this day, gone forever. That was bizarre but kind of wholesome. The next one is just shameful. It's the 1982 World Cup in Spain, and the story really belongs to Algeria, a team nobody rated, who pulled off a massive shock by beating mighty West Germany in their opening game. The Germans were so insulted that one of their players had sneered before the match that they'd play the game with cigars in their mouths. Algeria made them eat those words. And it was no fluke. West Germany were the reigning champions of Europe, and Algeria, at their very first World Cup, went on to beat Chile as well. This was a genuinely good team that had genuinely earned its place. So now, Algeria are on the verge of doing the unthinkable, reaching the knockout stage at their very first World Cup. But there's a catch in the schedule. Algeria play their final group game first, which means by the time West Germany and Austria kick off the day after, both European teams know exactly what they need. And the maths is poisonous. If West Germany beat Austria by 1 or 2 goals, both of them go through and Algeria is knocked out. 10 minutes in, West Germany score 1-0, and then the football just stops. For the rest of the match, both teams simply pass the ball around their own halves, going nowhere, attacking nothing. No real shots, no attempt to score, because the 1-0 they already had was the perfect result for both of them. The crowd works out exactly what's happening, and they turn on the players. They chant, "Out, out." Furious fans start waving banknotes at the pitch. accusing the teams of selling the game. Even the commentators refused to hide their disgust. It became known as the Disgrace of Gijón. West Germany and Austria both advanced. Algeria, who had actually won games, who had beaten one of these very teams, went home, eliminated by two countries who'd agreed, without saying a single word to each other, to simply stop playing. Algeria protested furiously to FIFA. FIFA rejected it. The result stood. It was so blatant, so embarrassing, that FIFA had to change the rules of the World Cup permanently. From that day on, the final two games in every group are played at the exact same time, so no team can ever again stroll out knowing the precise result that suits everyone. One African underdog got robbed so brazenly that it rewrote how the entire tournament works. Which brings us to the most famous, bizarre moment of them all. The one where a single player, in the space of 4 minutes, became both the biggest cheat and the greatest genius the sport has ever seen. It's the 22nd of June, 1986, quarterfinal of the World Cup, Argentina versus England at the Estadio Azteca in Mexico City. And this is not just a football match. 4 years earlier, Argentina and Britain had fought an actual war over the Falkland Islands. The tension is real, and it is raw. The man in the middle of it is Diego Maradona, for many, the most gifted footballer who ever lived. In the 51st minute, a ball loops up into the England box. Maradona goes up for it against the much taller goalkeeper and punches it into the net with his left hand. A clear, blatant handball. Everyone in England sees it. The problem is, the only people who didn't were the referees. The goal stands. 1-0 Argentina. Afterward, Maradona, refusing to admit he cheated, grinned and said the goal was scored a little with the head of Maradona and a little with the hand of God. The hand of God. The most famous cheat in football history. Years later, he admitted it was completely deliberate and called it a kind of symbolic revenge for the war. And then, 4 minutes later, the same man does this. Maradona picks the ball up inside his own half, turns, and goes. He beats one England player, then another, gliding past half the team, carries it 60 yards, rounds the goalkeeper, and rolls it in. 5 players beaten. It would be voted the goal of the century, the greatest goal ever scored at a World Cup. The Argentine commentator completely lost his mind, screaming into the microphone, calling Maradona a cosmic kite. England's goalkeeper that day, Peter Shilton, would stay bitter about both goals for the rest of his life. And outside the Azteca, they eventually built a statue of that second goal, the beautiful one, right next to the memory of the one he punched in. So, in the space of 4 minutes, against the same opponent, Maradona produced the most outrageous cheat and the most beautiful goal the tournament has ever seen. Argentina won 2-1 and went on to win the whole World Cup. One man, one afternoon, both villain and god. So there it is. A robbery solved by a dog. A game so shamelessly fixed, it changed the rulebook forever. And a goal scored with a hand, sitting 4 minutes away from a goal scored by a genius. And the strangest part? It never stops. The World Cup just keeps doing this. A player so out of control, he bit an opponent on the shoulder, in front of 1 billion people, in 2014. One of the greatest of all time, Zinedine Zidane, ending the final game of his entire career by headbutting a man in the chest and getting sent off. Every single tournament, football finds a brand new way to do something nobody could possibly make up. 2026 is happening right now. So somewhere out there, the next impossible, ridiculous, stranger-than-fiction moment is already loading.
We just don't know what it is yet.